Okay, this video pertains to the content of week 10, and I am addressing only the genetic information. And as always, if you have questions about the rest, please send them my way. This will be one video, and then the next one will be about Marfan syndrome. So first of all, when we're talking about McArdles disease, we're talking about a very rare disease. Um, And the interesting part is the prevalence is not really known. It can be estimated, but not known. Um, there's not a lot of studies going on around the world with this condition or disease, and and you'll see that there was one study in Texas, there was one in Spain, and that's about it. So. Um, when we say the prevalence is unknown, it means that we don't have more than those studies to talk about the prevalence. And who says that those studies population can represent the whole world? So just take that into consideration. Um, so we see that the only study in the US was conducted in Dallas, and they showed a ratio of 1 to 100,000. Um, we also know from another study in Spain, Europe, that the prevalence there was found to be 1 in 170,000, which is almost double. Or, in this case, the one found in Spain is better for us as humans than the one in the U.S. We see that GSDV is caused by 105. Okay, the 100 and the bi should switch places, obviously. Mutations in the PYGM gene. We know that the gene codes for a certain enzyme. The enzyme is found only in muscle cells. That's why the disease is targeting muscle cells. It's located on chromosome 11, meaning that this is not X or Y linked. It's not sex chromosome linked, right? We're talking about a recessive and autosomal recessive genetic disorder, meaning that in order to have the disease, you need to have two copies of the defective disease gene, one from your mother, one from your father, being inherited. One copy will not be enough. Once again, recessive equals weak in the sense of how many copies you need to have in order to have or to actually have the disease. And then you see the percentages, which are kind of standard for a recessive autosomal pattern. And since it's autosomal, it's not sex specific. The chances basically for both sexes to have the disease or to inherit the disease are the same. So 50-50 between males and females. We see that the protein is not broken down, is not destroyed. It's just non-effective. That cannot fill out its purpose. I already wrote that it's an autosomal recessive pattern, so no need to write that twice, sorry. And we believe that when someone has less than 40% of the copies needed, then they have the disease, or less than active copies, meaning that if the disease affects more than 60% of the copies, making them ineffective, then you have the disease. Okay, so it's not a lack of copies, it's a lack of, in this case, copies that are effective, that can actually function. We see that most of the mutations are missense, some are nonsense, some are deletion, some are deletion insertion. and some are silent, meaning that they have no phenotype. So very wide range of mechanisms that are causing the disease, but the main one is the missense. We see that the gene is highly unstable because we have mutations in every axon and in the introns as well. So uh, simply unstable, very susceptible to mutations. And then we see that the most common mutation is a single pair nucleotide substitution, replacing G with AT. We see that there's no correlation between the genotype and the phenotype, meaning that there's a wide range of the types of mutations and locations with the symptoms in our case. So it's hard to pinpoint what mutation is causing what symptom. Um, we can see that in some cases, at least two mutations or more in different genes have been associated with one symptom. So that's why, so the more sources you have to the same symptom, the less, the lesser the correlation you're going to find in the genotype phenotype relationship. Okay, so that's all I have for you for the McArdles disease. If you, once again, it's very important to me that you not keep anything inside. If you're going over things and they're not clear, your second year students start sending it to me, and I'll answer and I'll explain ever more better. So next video will be for the Marfan syndrome.